This is my review of the final episode of Burn the Witch, or well, the third, in case it ever comes back, or continues, I guess. We open with the crane where it left off in the last episode. Bang Knife is there, obviously confronting Nina, Noelle, Macy, and Balgo. He still plans to kill Balgo at this point, obviously. There's really good detail on the crane. It has like a close-up of the lights, and the lights have all these divots in them, being like it's a plastic casing or something, which is just really nice attention to detail. Then it shows the characters, and there's really nice use of lighting on them. And Bang Knife says, "Say your goodbyes," and then he starts kind of listing off the crimes of Nina and Noelle. I don't know if he means to kill all of them. That's how I took this scene, but maybe he just plans to imprison the two of them and kill the other two. I have no idea. Bang Knife says that Balgo is a punitive dragon, and I don't really know what that means. But essentially, I believe it just being he attracts dragons and can control them to some degree or something. I don't know. As they're talking, I noticed there's really nice attention to detail. There's great animation here because like the wind is blowing and you can kind of hear it under their voices blowing really hard. You have a scene where like Noelle's skirt is flapping in the wind. You see Nina's hair flapping, and then you cut to Bang Knife and his fur is also kind of flowing and stuff. And of course the wind would be blowing really hard up here because they're on top of a crane. It's above all the buildings, so there's nothing preventing the wind from blowing like this. So I thought that was really nice attention to detail. We see Ellie is coming. Macy can obviously sense her presence. She climbs up and leaps behind Bang Knife. Bang Knife is ready to kill her because he doesn't feel he has any further use for her, but as he's charging his energy to seemingly attack her with some kind of energy blast, she turns invisible. It like leaps up above him and comes down to try and smash him, it seems like. But Rickenbacker flips around him and gets in the way and basically seems to take the hit for him, although it seemed like it didn't really hit Rickenbacker either too much. But it breaks the crane in half basically, and they fall. Ellie flies high, and we see the moon, and it's like the crescent moon like we would see in Waco Mundo. That's what it looked like to me. I don't think that's like what it's trying to convey. I think it's just a reference to Kubo's art, because the Waco Mundo moon looked like that. And then Ellie flies up and kind of just grows all these feathers and transforms into like a proper dragon, because up to this point she's been like emaciated and had no fur, and now she like looks like a bird and has a bunch of feathers and shit. It's a pretty cool transformation. It lands on Big Ben and kind of strikes a pose. Really nice scene, nice use of the art and stuff. Really well drawn. I'd love to see what this looks like in the manga. They say that it flew up and it molted in the moonlight. So the moonlight hit it, and I guess that's what triggered its evolution. Or transformation or whatever. And Bang Knife kind of confirms that it not only molted in the moonlight, but it has 6 talons. And it cuts, showing one of Rickenbacker's fangs has been slashed through, and it has 6 tears through it from the talons. And Bang Knife basically reveals it's a Marken, and a Marken is a dragon from a fairy tale, and its name is Cinderella. And there's others from, like, there's 7 different fairy tales, and each of them, I guess, is named after a princess. This would be Cinderella. I guess another one would be Snow White. I don't know fairy tales that well, so I don't know all the names, but yeah, there would be 7 of them essentially. I find that very interesting. Whoever have an issue with this particular thing, if they have this information, they know that these dragons can come from these fairy tales and stuff. That would imply that they've encountered them before, and this Cinderella here like grew from a baby basically with Macy. So do these things reincarnate? Like a new Cinderella will be born now that this one has died, or like how does that work? It doesn't seem to be the case, but I don't know. It's weird. They should, but I don't know. I'll talk about that either at the end of this video if I feel like I should, or I'll talk about it in my Burn the Witch series review. Its scales are called star ash, and when they fall onto something it explodes, and once again there's really nice art showing kind of the scales falling down and the characters kind of reacting to it, and then the lighting as everything's exploding, you see all their expressions and stuff. Bang Knife basically says that Markins are the ancestors of dark dragons, and I don't know what the fuck that means. I think what he's saying is like the thing we saw in the first episode was a dark dragon, and this is what came before that. I don't know. It's really hard to follow that. Bang Knife takes his armband off. He has like an armband on. He takes it off and puts it on like a mask, and he's able to talk, and like the mouth on the mask moves. That's weird. I don't know why he needs a mask or what the fuck his purpose is. The characters are extremely expressive here, and you kind of get your first hints that Noelle cares about Balgo perhaps more than she let on at first. Bang Knife left to attack the Cinderella, and after he left and they're kind of arguing and talking, Scale flies into them, and that's where you see like their over-top expression as they all react to the thing with some goofy faces and shit, and then the Scale explodes. I'm still curious about the inks and how they work in this whole organization of Wangbind and stuff. Bang Knife pulls like he's got like 6 graffiti cans on his belt. He pulls one of them off and sprays it on Rickenbacker's wing. And he releases another familiar from that. He uses a code, and he like says the code, and it releases spells, I guess, in the same way. The magical numbers they use does, except he doesn't need to chant anything. He just does the code and releases it. So it releases another familiar. It's like this weird black thing. It latches on to Cinderella's face, and it tries to dig in and bite through it, and all it does is piss it off. It gets red eyes and blasts through the thing, killing it. Macy and Noelle appear, and Bang Knife basically says, if you can help me bring this thing down, then I'll recommend you to be part of the Yanks. And they kind of say, well, we don't want to be part of that. And once again, I think the other organization was called the Sabres that Nina wanted to be part of. I need to know what the difference is between them. Very curious. But they say basically they aren't interested in being part of the Inks, and I don't know why. Surely you could go from an Ink to a Saber or something like that, right? I don't know. Noelle, I get. She's already stated she just wants money. She's not interested in all this, but Nina wanted to be a Saber, if that's what they're called. Bang Knife reveals that by breaking one of the horns, or all of the horns or something, you can kill Cinderella. And the horns are basically like this crown on its forehead. It's got like 5 points and a crest holding them together. They all split up and try to attack her from different angles, and then Cinderella fires a giant fire blast toward Nina. she dodges it, and then she fucking goes down by the Big Bang and flies up, and the camera's like spinning around her, and it goes under her and shows how big the Big Bang and Big Ben is, and shows her as she's flying up toward the Cinderella, and then it releases a bunch of its scales to try to blow her up, and she jumps up behind it and she starts chanting fucking, what's it called? Incantation, because in Bleach, if you use a Keto attack, it's always more powerful when you do the incantation. That gives it its full power, and so this is obviously the same thing. I've talked about that before. She does half of the incantation, Noelle does the other half of the incantation, and they call it Magic Number 68 Supernal Jail, and has a bunch of these big stakes come down, these like energy stakes, and then a big ring comes down around it, and it closes up on Cinderella. And then Balgo was up above the entire time. They were distracting with that, and he drew in the sky with his graffiti, and he releases one of his codes, and his technique is Greedy Curtain, and it just drops this giant veil over Cinderella. He basically says you can attack it all you like, but all your attacks are going to be sent back at you. And then Greedy Curtain just expands and explodes, and everyone gets blown away, and then it's revealed that Cinderella's fine. Bang Knife is all bloody and shit. Rickenbacker's down. Marshall and Nina, and then Noelle and her thing, I forgot what it was called. They fly away across the city and end up landing where Macy and Balgo are. And then Cinderella begins flying toward them. Macy goes to try to help Nina. Nina and Noelle put up some shields. Ellie tries to kill them with some of its scales, I think, or blasted them or something. I don't really remember. Yeah, I think it was scales. Macy starts going on about, did we really have to kill Ellie? Maybe I can talk to her and stuff. But obviously it just keeps trying to kill them, and then Nina goes on her tangent about fairy tales and how they're bullshit. And that not everyone is supposed to be doing magic. It's only the witches of Reverse London that are supposed to do magic, or something like that. Bulgar kind of is just fucking around with this pipe, and all of a sudden he creates a giant sword. The sword calms Cinderella down, and its eyes go from the red that it had fighting Bang Knife back to blue, and it's calm and stuff, and then it immediately gets shot through the forehead, breaking its crown, and that kills it. And we zoom in across the city to see that it was the teacher, the director person that shot it in the forehead with just his finger. He pointed his finger, and a blast came out all the way across the city and killed it. We cut to like after all that, and basically they get nothing for their contribution in fighting the Cinderella because they didn't destroy it, and in the meantime there's a lot of collateral damage, so Bang Knife got the credit for killing it. I have to wonder why the director is hiding his power, why he doesn't want the credit, because he's clearly beyond everybody else if he can just kill Cinderella that effortlessly. He's far beyond anybody, so I wonder why both he's hiding his power and what that's accomplishing for him so far. They basically determined that Macy's a dragonclad, so she's staying in Reverse London so that they can keep an eye on her. Balgo is released on his death contract. It's revealed that Balgo interacted with Macy right before she met Ellie, so he inadvertently made her dragonclad, which means he has some weird special abilities. The Inks reveal their goal is kind of just to destroy all of the Markins, so I guess they can't reincarnate. But then how do people know about them? Because this one just got born, so people have had to have fought it before. And it's clear they have to reincarnate. This just doesn't... I hate when we're introduced to something like this, where like, this is a really powerful thing that's been around forever, and then it's just dead, and it dies like it was nothing, and you don't end up being shown all of the things it was built up as. If this is a Markin, and there's only 7 of them, this wasn't a very good showing for one. The series, if it was a full series, would be over in like 70 episodes. Assuming that the Markins are like the end goal. Now, they aren't necessarily. I've already said before, I think if this was to be picked up in the main series, I think Nina would end up becoming one of the Sabers, and then find out the Sabers are a corrupt evil organization, and they would be like the main antagonists of the series. Maybe they take the powers of the Markins in a Jinchuriki kind of a way, and they become much more powerful than the dragons could be on their own. I don't know. But yeah, their goal is to eliminate the Markins. There's a magical barrier where the director fired from in that window, because he fired through a window and it created a hole in the window, so there was a barrier around that. I don't know, I'm 99% sure she's an Ink, but the woman with like the hat, the trench coat, finds it, and someone calls her director or something, I don't know. Have not spent nearly enough time with these characters to know what the fuck is going on. She refers to the guy who shot through the window both as Junior and as son of a hero, so he's clearly like special, like Balgo special. Super special dude who's got lots of power. We see that Noelle is a bit more intimate with Balgo when they're alone. She puts on like a tsundere facade when they're around people, but when they're alone, she's very different with him. We get to reveal that Wingbind is basically just Soul Society West Branch. Already talked about it. Where are hollows in all of this? Like, if you want to say Reverse London is the afterlife, that's fine, but we were told explicitly that, like, when people die, they can become hollows. If they become hollows, they go to Wakamundo, and when they're in Wakamundo, they can end up going back to the world of living. So how's that whole thing handled here? What are dragons? If dragons just exist in Soul Society, that's fine, but we haven't seen them in Bleach as far as I know. So it's just, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing to say this is the same universe that we saw in Bleach, because it's so fucking different. You can tell a different story, but like, there's dragons and there's no hollows. There's no like dead. We haven't seen anything about, well, if someone dies, they gotta, you know, clearly they would need to run into Wingbind, right? Or is maybe the Sabers are like the Shinigami, and Wingbind is a separate organization altogether. I have no idea. It's just weird. It's weird how different it is, but Kubo basically wants it to be the same universe. And we end with kind of a funny thing where Noelle's trying to kill a sushi. It was a cool episode, cool climax of the series. I'll talk about the series in a video about the series itself. Yeah. The big points I'm going to talk about are expanding more on this whole, like, Burn the Witch versus Bleach type of a thing, because it doesn't do well. The Inks and the Sabers, as well as just my thoughts if this gets picked up into full series. If it does continue, I'll be very interested to see where it goes, because it's a magical girl series as opposed to a shonen, but it has all the makings of Kubo's shonen, so it's just, I don't know, it'd be different. But that's it for now.